before that, let me just take an attendance juga. Okay, Acu senyum semua. Yang tak ada kamera tak apalah ya. Yang pemalu-pemalu semua tu tak apa. Acu terus. Zaf komen lentok lagi. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Now, saya dah record dah kan? Dah start dah kan? Okay, screencast. Okay, 25 seconds into the recording. So you've got 8 cases and this practical or tutorial is on wound healing, pigmentation and calcification, cellular growth disturbance. Okay, banyak juga topik ni. Ada berapa lecture, berapa SLP? Wound healing is lecture kan? Betul lah.
Yes.
Wound healing lecture.
15 lecture, 4 SLP, 3 MBS.
Oh, okay, for this MOD Yang topik stop. I feel you. Kesian. Tak apa. We are trying our best. Okay, we should do our best this too shall pass, inshallah. Okay, and we'll be back to our usual face-to-face lectures, MES, apa lagi? PBLs and whatnot semua, inshallah. Okay, bertenang-tenang. Yang penting sekarang kita stay at home and stay safe, right? Tapi kadang-kadang from time I need to go to the hospital, so doakanlah kami di sana ya. Okay. Now, so wound healing, pigmentation, calcification, cellular growth disturbance. Now, at the end of this lecture pula dah terbiasa kan, and at the end of this MES, we should be able to identify and describe histological features of granulation tissue. Important. Okay, selalu keluar exam ni. Granulation tissue. And then we need to be able to identify excess collagen deposition as one of the complication of wound healing. Ni scarring ni. Okay. And then identify histologically the appearance of calcification and pigmentation. So you all know the types of calcification sekarang kan? 2 types, nanti kita akan cover. And then identify and describe the gross features of skeletal and cardiac muscle hypertrophy. Hypertrophy versus, apa satu lagi kita selalu confuse tu? Hyperplasia, okay? Now, and then describe the histological features of hyperplasia, metaplasia, and dysplasia. Hypertrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia, apa benda tu sebenarnya tu? What are those? Those are actually apa tu sebenarnya tu? Hyperplasia, hypertrophy, metaplasia. Excellent. Those are actually cellular adaptation to stress or noxious injury. Okay. Now, kita akan start dengan case 1. Shall I? Tapi nanti tak nampak siapa yang bercakap kan? How are we going to do this ya? Let's see. Tak apalah, saya nak share screen ke korang? Ke nak tengok muka korang comel-comel ni? Okay, so we shall take turns. Bukan take turns lah. Nak take turns ke ya? Macam mana? Sebab saya tak nampak kalau saya share screen nanti. Ke nampak? Cuba. Saya cuba. Cubaan. Korang nampak tak? Can you see my screen? Okay, nampak ya. So this is just the list of the attendees today in your group kan sepatutnya kan. Okay, so Mirabel is not here. Tak apa, yang lain-lain nanti can actually go back and watch this recorded session hopefully lah insyaAllah ya. Okay, so this is the today's objective learning objective. And this is case 1. Kesannya kurang. More kan? It should be under more kan? Tak apalah, tak payahlah screen share. Kita tengok muka kita je lah Okay. So, we've got, saya bacakan the case lah ya. We've got a 15-year-old teenager who fell down while riding a bicycle and sustained an injury to the right knee. After a few days, he noticed the wound surface was covered with red granular appearing tissue. Okay, siapa nak jawab question 1? What is the tissue that was developing on the wound surface? Gallery view. Okay, gallery view. Granulation tissue. Thank you, Jing Teo kan? Okay. So that is granulation tissue actually. Now, describe the microscopic appearances of photograph A. Siapa nak jawab?
Saya, Doktor.
Siapa? Nabil. Okay, silakan Nabil. Okay.
So the answer is formation of new small blood vessels and the proliferation of the fibroblast.
Okay, so Nabil says that he can see proliferating fibroblasts, yeah, as well as
Yes.
apa lagi tadi tu?
Formation of new small blood vessels.
Excellent. So formation of new small blood vessels. Okay, good. So granulation tissue is composed of proliferating fibroblasts and dengar tak bunyi pintu kena ketuk? Sabar je lah korang ya. And newly formed small blood vessels. Bertabahlah. Okay, macam itulah ya cabarannya work from home ni. Working from home. Sabar je lah. Okay, apart from that, I have to share this juga sebab nak tengok korang ni. Okay, so can you see, alah kecil comelnya gambar saya ni. Alah.
Doktor boleh zoom guna like just pinch up.
Boleh. Okay. So, mana your vessel ni? Ini sebenarnya vessel How do you know that those are actually small vessels? Nampak? Banyaknya vessels.
Lumen kot.
Betul. Nabil kan? Okay. Lumen ada apa Nabil?
Ada blood.
Excellent. Betul lah tu. Jangan gelap. Betul lah tu. So as you can see, okay, we've got this macam endothelial cells ni kan? Forming tubes. Okay, vessels. And within that tube, you can see apa tu merah-merah tu? Betul lah dia. Those are actually red blood cells. Ya? So confirm. Kita tengok gambar ni. Kita confirm. Oh, newly formed blood vessels. They are very delicate and prone to bleeding. Okay, that's why kalau kita scrape our knees kan, janganlah usik-usik gatal-gatal usik tu. Confirm dia akan cepat berdarah semula. Right? So that's that. Kejap, nak patah balik. Stop share. Okay, stop. Okay. Now, so that's the answer for microscopic question 2. Photograph A sorted. Right. Can I just go back to the sharing? Because I think I missed one bit. Okay. Apart from that, apart from the newly formed vessels, can you see anything else interspersed between those vessels? Apa benda ni sel-sel ni Pelik ni Fibroblast. Lagi? Anything else? Fibroblast?
Inflammatory
Mana inflammatory cells? Kecil comel kecil-kecil dia.
Kecil tu.
Yang kecil tu. How do you know that those are inflammatory cells? Kenal tak lupa?
Multi-lobulated.
So kalau multi-lobulated, kita kata most probably those are what are the
Cells.
predominant cells in acute inflammation?
Yeah.
What are the most predominant cells in early acute inflammation? Or acute inflammation? Cukup. Neutrophils. Excellent. Okay. So,
Neutrophil.
to identify neutrophils, first you have to look at the, nampak tak lobes ni?
Lobe.
Ni comel kan? Cutie pie. Okay. That's how you identify neutrophils. Banyak neutrophils ni. Ni pun ambil. Berapa lobes dia ni? Yeah. Right. So, you can see that there are actually a varying amount of inflammatory cells. Right. So, if it's in the early phase of inflammation, then the predominant cells would be neutrophils. Okay. After a while, it will shift to apa agak-agak? What are the predominant cells in chronic inflammation? Kalau healing nampak lah katalah infected. Apa dia? Sorry?
plasma cell.
Allahu Akbar, minta maaf tak apa nak dengar lah. Macrophages, yes. Or lymphocytes, even plasma cells, yeah. So there will be a shift from neutrophils to other types of leukocytes that specialize in chronic inflammation. Macam itulah, saya selalu ingat macam tu, okay. And those cells in chronic inflammation include your plasma cells, lymphocytes, macrophages. Okay? So initially in acute inflammation, you would see neutrophils. Okay, if there's any delay in wound healing ke, if it's infected ke, then it will progress to chronic inflammation and you shall see the shift in the population of cells. Instead of neutrophils, you'll be starting to see your plasma cells, lymphocytes, and macrophages. Right? So itulah difference dia between acute and chronic inflammation. And you need to know this because, kenapa agak-agak? Apart from knowledge, soalan ni lah yang selalu ditanya ya dalam exam ya. Okay? So you need to know this. The differences between acute and chronic inflammation. Okay, so that's that. Now we move on to question 3. Name the 2 types of cutaneous wound healing. Okay. 2 types of cutaneous wound healing. This is from Dr. Azlin's lecture kan? Lecture ke? SLP ni Lecture. Okay. 2 types. I think she's posted her PowerPoint with narration kan? In UKM Folio. Ke tengok notes dia nak belum? Ada Okay. Okay, good. Part 1. Banyaknya parts dia. Bagus lah itu. Rajin. Good. So, name the 2 types of cutaneous wound healing.
Primary intention.
Hanan ni. Alah, comel suara Hanan. Okay. Primary intention and secondary intention. Excellent. Good. So, you've got your primary intention and healing with secondary intention. Do you all know the difference between those two? Itu pun selalu keluar exam itu pun selalu keluar exam. So, you need to know this as well. Okay. Primary and secondary intention. Ni apa cerita pula lah anak saya ni. Apa lagi projek dia tu. Ya ampun. Okay, bertabahlah korang. Now, so that's case 1. And then we move on to case 2. So in case 2, we've got a 40-year-old man who had an injury to the right arm, okay, 1 month ago. He developed an elevated scar which was excised. Okay, ada scarring. He developed an elevated, tu dah bagi hint tu, elevated scar which was excised. Now, photographs B and C show the low and high magnifications of the microscopic appearances of the excised lesion. Let me share with you the picture. Ni dia. Share screen. Okay, so that's the previous one. Photographs B and C. Cantiknya. Okay, what can you see in photograph B? This one is B and this is photograph C. Okay, let's have a look at photograph B. This is taken on a lower magnification. Apologies, okay? Lower magnification. So, nampaklah your ni. What's this? Apa ni sebenarnya? Yes. Okay, kalau dekat kulit, okay, apa nama dia ni? Okay, right. Epidermis dengan dermis. Okay. Now, what can you see here? Apa bondo lah ni pink-pink ni? Collagen bundles. Yes, excellent. So,
Dense collagen.
good. So, you can see that there is presence of dense collagen bundle.
Collagen.
Good. And where is, mana? Dekat mana? Collagen bundles tu, where are they located? Is it in the epidermal layer?
In the dermal layer.
Good.
Dermis
Yes,
layer.
so they are located in the dermal layer. Okay, so the collagen bundles, the thick or dense collagen fiber bundles are located in the dermal area. Okay. Ini kan, so this is a higher magnification of more or less the same area lah dekat sini one of the areas here. And you can see, nampak tak? Pink. Ya ampun, okay. You can see that there are dense collagen bundles. Simple je. Okay, very thick collagen bundles there. Right? So that's that. You just stop sharing. And question 2. Describe the, ni tak ada kena mengena dengan dia ni lah. Tapi tak apa. So describe the complication of cutaneous wound healing. Another popular question for exams. Describe the complication of cutaneous wound healing. I always ask the students to actually put a star. Okay, whenever I say, popular question, might come out in the exam, just put a star there, so that you will actually go through later your notes kan, and Dr. Dan says, ni important question. Okay, it might come out in the exam. Okay, so you go through with much more kita nak kata with excitement lah. Okay, kalau tidak macam boring. Kalau kata keluar exam semua mata bulat aja kan, gitu. Okay. Now, so describe the complication of cutaneous wound healing. What are the complications of cutaneous wound healing? So in this case, okay, let's just go back to this patient. We've got a 40-year-old man, no? Man too. What is the complication of wound healing seen in this patient? Elevated scar.
Hypertrophic scar.
Okay, good. So it can be either hypertrophic scar or have you heard of keloid? Pernah dengar tak?
Keloid.
Keloid. Okay, either
Oh.
hypertrophic scar or keloid. Okay. Apart from those, any other complications that you know? Ulceration. Nice. Okay. Have you gone through my handout? Okay, information handout. Do you think you'll be
Yeah.
able to identify apa nama ni ulcer and ulcer? Boleh tak? Tak apa, boleh. Nanti kan kita akan go through. We can just have a look at the slides later when we go back to hopefully the new normal nanti kan. And I'm sure you'll be able to recognize an ulcer when you see it lah. Okay. We've got 10 minutes left. Kenapa dia tak bagi tambahan? Previously, they will automatically give us some time tau. Up until an hour and a half the last MES. Tapi nampaknya dia kedekut. Dia sudah kedekut. Tapi tak apa. I will try and set a new shall I do it now? Will end in 10 minutes. Tak baik dia ni. Can somebody just try and set a new ni schedule boleh tak? Starting from maybe 11:30. Boleh tak? Ada siapa yang nak volunteer tak untuk set up a new meeting with password and all? And give the link to all of us in YouTube so that we can save time. So that I'll be able to continue with this tutorial. We can watch the recorded version later, insyaAllah. Okay. So, siapa yang tolong? Boleh tak siapa yang tolong? Siapa yang boleh tolong? Yay, thank you so much, Jing Teo. Okay, Hui Jing Teo. Okay. Thank you so much, much appreciated. So, okay, saya selamat tak saya tekan ni? Selamat kan? Saya tekan yang running out of time ni kan? X kan dia je. Okay, senang. So, we move on to case 3. Case 3 is the case of a 63-year-old man who presented with left-sided weakness. Left-sided weakness. Okay. CT scan of the brain revealed a tumor arising from the dura. A provisional diagnosis of meningioma was made. Okay. Photograph D is the histological section of the tumor. Let me just share photograph D with all of you. This is photograph D. Cantiknya photograph D ni. Okay. So in photograph D, question 1. What are the structures which are pointed by black arrows? Tapi dah hilang my arrow in this picture. Ni lah. Anggaplah ni arrow. White arrow lah. Tek. Okay. Saya tak boleh conteng dalam ni kan. Tak apa. So by this lah. What are the structures here? Okay. Describe the Samoma bodies. Good. Okay. Zaf yang ni Zaf kan yang jawab kan? Ke salah? Betul kan? Okay. So, those are actually Samoma bodies. Cantik kan Samoma bodies? Yes. So, those are, how do you describe a Samoma body? Kalau exam keluar lah. Describe a Samoma body. Describe Samoma bodies.
Progressive accusation of outer layer that makes
Okay, good.
laminated
Okay.
configuration and concentric calcification that resemble
Adenosine.
grain
Betul.
of sand.
Excellent. Okay. Saya nak tanya soalan tapi kan luar dah dia punya skop pula dah. Where else can you see Samoma bodies? Soalan bonus. Tak ada dalam ni. Where else can you find Samoma bodies? Maybe in certain types of cancer. Do you know of any cancer that can present with Samoma bodies?
Breast cancer.
Thyroid. Somebody mentioned thyroid. Betul. Yes. Okay. So you can see this in thyroid cancer carcinoma. Okay. A certain type of thyroid carcinoma, papillary thyroid carcinoma. Okay. You can see this lamellated kan, concentric layers okay, of calcification. So that is a Samoma body. Okay. Important for you to recognize this. Later in endocrine in year 2, you also encounter this again. Okay. So that's question 3 sorted. Okay, we move on to case 4. Okay. Case 2, case 3. Okay, betul. Case 4. So in case 4, we've got a 30-year-old non-thalassaemic patient who was regularly receiving blood transfusion for the past 20 years. Oh, kesian 20 years since 10 tahun lah. So his liver function test showed raised liver enzymes. Can you name me one liver enzyme that you know of? CK, creatine kinase is more of the muscle, tapi nice try. Okay. Any other enzyme that you know of? AST, ALT, lagi? ALP, good, alkaline phosphatase. Yes, okay. So his liver function test showed raised liver enzyme. Liver biopsy was performed and histopathological examination showed secondary hemochromatosis. Do you know what hemochromatosis is? Hemochromatosis.
Deposition of the
Uh-uh.
iron in the tissue.
Good. Okay, betul lah tu. Right. So that is hemochromatosis. Okay, iron deposition, excessive iron deposition. And lah hilang. Saya stop share buat apa? Okay, kejap. Patah balik. Remaining 4 minit. Okay, tak apa. Bertenang. Mari kita cuba lagi. Photograph E. Microscopic picture of the liver biopsy. So this is a picture, photomicrograph picture of a liver biopsy. Okay, these are actually hepatocytes. Okay, ada ni somebody, Mariam. Okay, Mariam masuk. Jemput datang Mariam. Jadi kita keluar balik, kita masuk balik ya Mariam. Okay, so it's a picture of the liver biopsy. What can you see? These are actually plates of hepatocytes. Okay, plates of hepatocytes. And this looks to me like an abnormal picture. Why? Because of apa bondo ni? What can you see inside the hepatocytes ni? Okay. Granules. Yes, you can see granules. Okay, do you know the name of the granule? Hemosiderin granules. Excellent. So you can see hemosiderin granules. Okay. In the exams, especially OSPE, if you're asked to describe, a picture. Okay. Kita sebenarnya kita ada macam guide tau. A, B, C, D, E. Okay. A, area. Ini for both gross and microscopic picture lah. Okay. A, area. Where is the tissue located macam tu. B is the border. If you can see the border. C is the color. So you can actually describe the color here. So you can say that, okay, there are this golden ke. How would you describe the color of the granules ni? Hemosiderin granules ni. Reddish, brownish ke, ya? You just put whatever color there. Confirm dapat markah. Okay, color A, B, C, D, E. E kalau macam contohnya the ulcer tadi, you can say the edge, E-D-G-E, the edge of the ulcer. Whether it's raised ke, whether it's sharply punched out ke, ya. A, B, C, D, D dah diameter atau depth ke, D diameter or depth. If you're given a gross specimen and you have a ruler, you can measure that and put that in your description as well. A, B, C, D, E, edge, A, B, C, D, E, F. F apa? Lupa dah. Tak apa, kita abaikan F for the time ni. F, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, granuloma ke apa ke kalau ada granuloma, you can describe. And H, hemorrhage, if you see hemorrhage. Yeah? So that's how you answer questions that requires you to describe. Okay. And then, apa lagi? So, golden brown, ya. Refractile hemosiderin granules present within hepatocytes. Selesai. So, name the stain used to confirm this pigment. Persian blue, Is that mentioned in the lecture? Sebut, Okay, good. Because we can also actually stain these granules using Pearl's iron stain. Are they the same? Persian blue dengan Pearl's iron stain? Are they the same? Is that the same? That is okay. If not, then maybe both of them can be used to actually stain this. Mungkin ada information yang Dr. Azrin sebut dekat dalam lecture. Okay. Either way, boleh diterima jawapan tu. Okay. So that's case 3, case 4 sorted. Okay, we've got less than 1 minute. So, boleh tak kalau kita stop our session sekarang, and then Jing Teo, maybe you can just give us the link to the next meeting, eh? Sorry lah korang, kita kena short pula, dah cut short pula. Usually kita jalan sekali harum je, tapi itulah kedekut sekarang ni Zoom ni. Semua orang dia tengah glamour kan? Gitu. Okay, so all of us kita end meeting sekarang, and bye Zaf. Kita jumpa dalam sesi seterusnya sekejap lagi ya. Okay. Alia nanti tolong bagi link kat saya ya. Thank you Alia. Alright korang. See you soon. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
Penat saya cakap seorang-seorang tadi.
I have to mute.
Okay. So thank you Jeng Tio for arranging the second meeting. So seamlessly lah kita boleh dapat to combine the two meetings. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Now, we are on to case 5. Sikit lagi bertambah lah. 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 more cases to go. So, we got here. Tadi siapa yang baru masuk tadi Mariam kan? Mariam ada Okay, cantik. Okay. Rasa macam kena ambil gambar lagi lah. Macam ramai orang kan? Makin bertambah. Ke sama je? 24, 6, 8, 12, 14. Sama ke tidak? Kan? Ambil gambar lagi lah ya. Sebab Prof Tong actually request us to actually take snapshots. No, not Prof Tong. Our Dr. Wong, the head of module. Okay, senyum. Zaf, lentuk sikit Zaf. Gitu. Okay, peace. Hanan terus ambil. Okay, dah settle. Right, thank you. So, we move on to case 5. In case 5, we are presented with a 70-year-old man. Ini adik siapa ni? Mesti ada adik somebody ni ke? Comel je. Okay, tak apa. A 70-year-old man presented with a history of difficulty in starting the stream of urine, aka hesitancy. Ni important ya. Hesitancy in an old man. Okay, important. This an important complaint for us to investigate. And then, apart from hesitancy, he also presented with intermittent interruption of the urinary stream while voiding. Dia macam, tak boleh macam, okay, dia tidak smooth, dia ada interruption. So, PR or per rectal examination or digital rectal examination, DRE, zaman saya ni kita panggil PR je, PR examination or digital rectal examination, DRE, showed nodular swelling of the prostate. Okay, you will learn how to do proper DRE later when you go into your clinical years. Ya ke? Ke sekarang dah belajar dah? Maybe second year kot nanti Okay, you will learn to actually try and feel and appreciate the apa kita kata tu? Whether it's smooth ke ataupun ada nodularity ke of the prostate. And next, what was performed? TURP. Transurethral resection of the prostate was performed. Okay, I highly recommend you to maybe just Google out this TURP ni and see how the procedure is performed. Okay, kita tengok macam mana ni. Kenapa kita kena buat ni? Interesting kan? So, photograph F is a prostate with benign prostatic hyperplasia. So, the diagnosis is already given to you. Okay. From the case ni, we have established that this patient has got benign prostatic hyperplasia. Now, let's just have a look at photograph F. Mana dia? Okay. This is E and then kita ada F. Tengok tu. Nampak kan? Right. So, question 1. Describe the gross appearance of the prostate in photograph F. Okay. How would you describe this? Dia bagi ruler ni. Usually, this indicates something lah. Kalau ada ruler tu. Okay. It will be better if enlarged. Yes. Okay. The prostate here is enlarged. But for the life of me, I cannot remember lah the normal size. What is the normal size of the prostate? I cannot remember. But maybe you can Google that, and so that you'll be able to appreciate the enlargement in this case. So you can see, okay, that the prostate is enlarged, and apart from the enlargement, can you see any other striking feature? Tengok-tengok tu je. Wah, kita tengok nampak. Wow. Okay, this is something that is abnormal. Apakah? What are those tinggi apa benda tu bonjol sana ni So those are nodules. Yes, you can appreciate that there is presence of. Saya assume tu adalah Nabil kan? Okay, good. Nodularity, nodules.
Nod.
Nampak kan? Nampak Okay, nodules. Alright. So, if you use my macam guide tadi yang kita dah cover tadi, what can you say? You can also describe the colour. Apa kita nak kata colour dia ni? Alamak. Ada tadi pula balik. Sekejap tak apalah, kita buat tak dengar, nanti kita call dia balik. Okay. So you can describe, kita boleh kata tan ke kan? Brown ke, pale ke, macam tu Okay.
Pale.
Of an enlarged prostate, enlarged tannish ke, tan brown ke, okay, prostate, which shows nodularis. Okay. And the nodules, are they of the same size? Tak kan? Nampak tak? Different sizes. Yes, good. You can see, ini besarnya aku semangat. And you can see some little ones here. Okay, little nodules here. What? Of a variable size and shapes. Boleh kata macam tu lah, variable sizes. Alright. So, enlarged prostate, nodularity. Apart from that, can you see any bleeding ke, hemorrhage ke, necrotic areas ke? No necrosis. And hemorrhage
No
ada tak?
necrosis.
Tak ada kan? Tak nampak obvious kan? Okay, kita tak nampak hemorrhage. Good.
Homogeneous.
So, enlarged prostate, nodularity, no necrosis or hemorrhage. Excellent. Next question. Define this process. Dia dah bagi jawapan free dah ni atas ni. Apa jawapan dia? Cepat, cepat. Saya dah bagi hint dah ni. Good. Excellent. So, the answer is hyperplasia. Yes, okay.
Hyperplasia.
What's the difference between hyperplasia and hypertrophy? Hyperplasia, hypertrophy. Good.
Hyperplasia is increase
Versus
in number of
hypertrophy?
cells.
Good.
Hypertrophy
Betul. Okay.
increase in
Macam ni you
size
nak
of the
ingat?
cells.
Ingat je. Baguslah korang ni. Memory power. Saya dulu mula nak ingat. Saya ingat, okay. Macam neoplasia, kita tahu dia increase in number. Uncontrolled mitosis or division kan? So, the number of cells banyak. So, kita boleh relate lah. Okay. Hyperplasia dengan hypertrophy. Hyperplasia, kita macam, okay, neoplasia, number. So, plasia, okay, number. Okay. Hypertrophy, trophy size lah. Satu mesti number, satu mesti size. So, that's how I remember things lah macam tu lah. Maybe you can adapt ke kalau sesuai lah. Kalau tidak, tapi korang memang power. So, ingat pun bagus juga So, the process is called hyperplasia, which is an increase in the number of cells in an organ or tissue. So, in this patient, back to our patient, our 70-year-old man ni, is this type of disease process physiological or pathological in this patient? Pathological, yes. We do not expect to see.
Pathological.
Good. So, in a normal 70-year-old man, we do not expect to see this. However, it is seen in this patient, so it must be something that is pathological rather than physiological. Now, but can hyperplasia be part of something that is physiological? Something that is normal? Boleh tak? Ke hyperplasia is equal to pathological process at all times? Hyperplasia always pathological. Ya ke? Betul ke statement saya? No, betul. So it can be both physiological and or pathological. Yeah? Alright. So question 4 ni. Give examples of similar disease process. Examples tu bagi So do you know of any other example of hyperplasia in the human body? Organs ke, tissues ke that undergo hyperplasia, be it physiological or maybe in pathological conditions. Okay. Thyroid? Thyroid hyperplasia. Good.
Thyroid
Is that
hyperplasia.
pathological or physiological? Sorry, tak tahu apa nak dengar apa jawapan dia tadi macam dengan bunyi motor. Pathological. Good. Saya tak boleh nampak semua orang lah. Kejap. Boleh ke? Tak nampak. Sob. Siapa yang jawab tadi Nabil. Okay.
Saya, Nabil.
Ha?
Tapi doktor, soalan 4 ni bukan pathological ke semua?
Oh, ni example
Soalan
similar
nombor
dia semua.
4 ni
Okay,
bukan
boleh.
pathological ke?
But, okay. To me, this question, kita boleh jawab dua-dua. Sebab example similar Oh alah, disease process lah tu lah. Sabar je lah kejap ya. Kita bukan sekejap. Okay. Kalau we refer back to this patient, this is a pathological process. Okay. But let me just rephrase balik this question. Give examples of hyperplasia. Boleh tak macam tu? Boleh tak? Boleh tak? So that you be more open. You can also include physiological and pathological processes for this question. I agree with you, Nabil. For this particular question, kalau dia kata similar disease, then dia adalah disease, so pathological. I agree with you. Betul. But just to get our discussion going, okay, kita boleh so that kita explore physiological juga. I'm just going to change the question to give examples of hyperplasia in the human body. Okay, so tadi thyroid Thyroid is a thyroid hyperplasia. Nabi jawab tadi, it's a pathological process. Can you give me other examples of hyperplasia? Tak kisahlah physiological ke pathological. In ladies, ada tak? Yang experience ke? Thank you. Uterus? Navina kan? Okay, good. Uterus? Yes. So this is this pathology physiological. Yes, this is a physiologic hyperplasia occurring in a gravid uterus, or pregnant uterus. Right. So that's one. Ada lagi tak? Ting 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 ting. Ada lagi tak? Thyroid kita dah cover pathological. Uterus kita dah cover physiological. Ada lagi tak? Contoh macam kalau kita cover partial hepatectomy contoh Okay, kita biasa dengar kan? Macam kalau somebody donates their part of their liver ke ataupun donate one kidney ke kan? What will happen to the other kidney or to the rest of the liver? They will undergo they enlarge and increase in size as well as increase in numbers. Okay? Yes, excellent. So, the remaining kidney, for example, if you have donated one kidney, the remaining kidney will undergo hyperplasia. So, there will be an increase in the number of nephrons in the kidney. Just to cover, dia nak take over balik lah kerja yang satu kidney yang dah dibuang. Bukan dibuang, sorry, oops. Yang kita dah donate tadi tu, Same goes to the liver juga. Kita pernah tengok macam contoh-contoh patient kan with liver diseases ke which needs transplantation kan. So the donor would donate a segment of the liver to that patient, and then both the patient and the donor tu, okay, their livers will undergo hyperplasia as well. Macam tu. Right? So it is itu adalah physiological sebenarnya kalau ikutkan regeneration of liver and the kidneys. Yes. Okay. So dua sudah. Lagi yang saya ada
Muscle hypertrophy.
So ni dia. Okay. So that's that Okay, we have covered liver, kidneys, thyroid, the uterus. How about our endometrial lining? Endometrial lining kita juga can undergo hyperplasia, right? And this is an example of pathological abnormal hormone-induced hyperplasia in whatever condition lah, Okay. Maybe abnormal hormones in the patient with hormone imbalance can induce endometrial hyperplasia, Next, we can also see proliferation of glandular epithelium of the female breasts at puberty and during pregnancy. Itu pun another example of hyperplasia of the glandular epithelium of the breasts. Okay, so that's that. Selesai case 5. Okay, now let me just stop. Tak apalah, terus je lah. Alang-alang dah sharing. Let's go to case 6. For case 6, we've got a 60-year-old man with a history of hypertension for the past 20 years. Okay, he died. Morbid sangat. He died. At the post-mortem examination, the heart was noted to be enlarged. Photograph G is the gross picture of the deceased heart heart, yeah, cross section, so kita potong tang. And photograph H is a gross picture of a normal heart. Okay, saya compare, kita kecilkan sikit gambar dua-dua ni. Boleh compare kat one screen. Sikit lagi. Ting ting. Okay. So, ini normal heart. Ini the patient's heart, the deceased heart. Yuk, nampak? Can you see the difference? Quite stark, the difference ni. Obvious. Okay. Much better. Kecilkan sikit lagi lah. Okay. So, question 1. Observe and compare photographs G and H. Describe the gross appearance of the deceased heart. What is the possible cause of the enlarged heart? Okay. Apa yang kita nampak ni? This is the left ventricle, left ventricle of a normal patient, left ventricle of this patient, left ventricle of a normal man, and this is of the patient's postmortem. Nampak tak the difference ni? Okay, how would you describe this? I mean, anybody would like to attempt to answer this question? Yeah, thank you.
Doctor, ni
Thicker ventricular wall.
wall.
Betul? Yes. We can see that there is thickening. Betul kan? Thickening of the ventricular wall compared to the normal the normal man here, normal heart here. Okay. So, thick versus normal. Obvious kan? Thickening, and normal wall. Okay. And then, what else? What is the possible cause of the enlarged heart? Ini, you can go back to the history of the patient. History of hypertension for the past 20 years. So this is a chronic disease, chronic hypertension. The patient actually suffered from chronic hypertension. 20 years, lama. So, what does hypertension do? What happens to the heart of a patient, in a patient with hypertension, chronic hypertension? There is increased resistance, kan? Betul kan? So the heart would need to work, betul tak? Harder. Dia kena buat OT, contohlah, overtime sikit. So the heart would need to pump dengan lebih semangatnya, lebih gigihnya. Okay. And the heart would need to adapt. Betul? Kita ada banyak sangat, apa kita panggil tu? Pressure overload. Okay. So the heart actually adapts to this by this process. Kita akan cover this process. Apa jawapan dia sekejap lagi. Okay. And number 2, what is the disease process called in this heart ni? Hypertrophy. Good. Okay, so this is an example of hypertrophy, which is macam Nabil kata tadi, an increase in the size of an organ or a tissue. Okay, increase in size because of the pressure ni. The heart needs to overcome the pressure, okay, the tremendous pressure, so it needs to pump more vigorously, okay. And in order for the heart to be able to do that, it needs to undergo adaptation. It needs to increase the size of the heart. Barulah dia boleh deliver the pressure to all the body lah, okay, all throughout the body. Okay, so this is cardiac muscle hypertrophy. Next, alamak dah bagi jawapan tadi, tak apa. Define the above process or define hypertrophy. Siapa nak jawab? Itu kena ketuk. Sabar je lah, Okay. Okay. What is the definition of hypertrophy? Ulang je balik apa yang Nabil cakap tadi. Yeah, so it's an increase of the size of an organ or tissue. Question 4. Is this type of disease process physiological or pathological? Pathological. Good. Tengok dia case sendiri kita tahu, this is pathological. And then give an example of a similar process. So give an example of hypertrophy lah. Hypertrophy.
Muscle
Uterus boleh,
hypertrophy.
yes.
Uterus.
Yeah, so uterus is the unique.
Uterus
Okay, so in pregnancy, the uterus undergoes both hyperplasia and hypertrophy. So the unique is physiological. Okay, itu satu yang example yang unique. And of an organ that undergoes both hyperplasia and hypertrophy. Okay, ada lagi tak? Ha. Bodybuilder, yes. Skeletal muscle can undergo hypertrophy. Agree.
The
So
skeletal
Nabil,
muscle
boleh
for
ikut
the
Nabil
bodybuilder.
mula ya. Kat rumah ni kan. Bekap sikit gitu. Okay? So, gitu sayang. Okay. Example of hypertrophy. Okay, so we want to case 7. Sikit lagi korang, tabahlah. 2 case lagi. So case 7, we've got a 45-year-old man with a history of chest pain, which is burning in nature. Ooh, burning in nature, chest pain. Accompanied with regurgitation and sour breath. Tahu tak regurgitation tu apa? Regurgitation is where we regurgitation. Keluarkan balik. Regurgitation and sour breath. Pernah rasa tak? Saya yakin semua pernah rasa. Sour breath. Apa benda tu? Dia macam, betul siapa jawab? Hazirai. Dia macam muntah, dia macam sour, macam masam-masam, macam ada, macam tu. Macam tu lah. Pendek kata lah. Sour breath. So, OGDS, oral gastroesophageoscopy. Tinggal ni, OGDS, esophagoduodenoscopy. Esophagogastroduodenoscopy, OGDS, quite a mouthful. Was performed and it was noted kita ada a red velvety mucosa. Okay. In contrast to the pale pink esophageal squamous mucosa at the distal esophagus. Ni dah bagi hint sangat ni. Red velvety mucosa. In contrast to the pale pink esophageal squamous mucosa at the distal esophagus. Dia punya hint, dia punya tempat location tu pun dah bagi hint. Distal esophagus. So a biopsy was taken at the affected site. Picture I and J. Let's have a look at picture I and J. Ni dia. So photograph I is the histological picture of the patient's esophagus stained with hematoxylin and eosinophil. H&E. Photograph J is a histological picture of a normal esophagus. Saya tak kerti nak buat side by side. Saya cuba ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jadi bangga. Okay, kejap. Tabahlah korang. Kita kecilkan sikit ni. Okay. Tinggal nampak Zaf, Farhana dengan Jintio. Okay, kita besar. Kasih besar sambil ini. Okay. Boleh ikut Okay. So, patient's esophagus. And ini normal esophagus. Can you see this stark difference between those two? Betul kan? Okay, apa yang berbeza ni? Soalan dia. Kejap. Okay, question 1. Observe and compare photographs I and J. Describe the histological appearance of the patient's esophagus. Ini patient, ini normal. Okay. So, how would you describe this picture? This patient's esophagus ni? Berbezanya lah, ya ampun, beza kan? Tapi kan, in this picture, this patient's picture, do you notice this? We have got two populations of epithelial cells. Kita nampak the one in the left, my left lah. Korang pun left juga kan? Sama kan? Okay, we are seeing the same thing, direction semua, orientation semua sama kan? Okay. Left and the one on the right ni. Berbeza. Mereka adalah berbeza. Betul? Okay. So, compared to the normal, ni memang kita biasalah nampak kan the epithelial cells dekat on the right ni. So, this one, the right one of this patient's slide ni, does it resemble a normal epithelial cells of the esophagus? Tak kan? Okay, let's have a look at this left one here. Okay, does it resemble? Ada tak lebih kurang, sipi-sipi gitu? Adalah, boleh lah Nabil kata. Boleh lah,
Adalah, boleh lah.
Boleh lah kita kata, right? So, in a normal patient, we do not expect to see this. Yang kanan, alah, patut nak tanya mana satu yang rasa saya tak normal. Alamak. Okey, tak apalah, soalan saya balik lah. Okey, mana yang agak yang tak normal? Yang kanan ke yang kiri? Kanan, dah bagi jawapan free. Kasihkan lah. Okey. Yang kanan ni abnormal. We do not expect to see this section here. Okay, in a normal patient. Normal person, sorry. So, the next thing to do is to describe this. Macam mana boleh bisa saya tarik sikit? Kata kunci dia a red velvety. Pula hilang. Tak kenapa nak tabala saya try move this thing. What have I done? Kejap. Tak apalah, okey lah tu, pasrah je lah. Okay. So, okay. Now, what type of epithelial cells are these? Columnar. Good. Okay, kita nampak columnar epithelial cells. Betul? So, kita nampak the normal one ni, we expect to see this kan? Okay, this type of epithelial cell has been replaced by another type of epithelial cells. Betul? Yes? Okay. Yes. So, the esophageal squamous epithelial has been replaced by dah sebut proses pula dah. Kita pula columnar epithelial type. Betul Macam ni. Okay, tak apa. Nanti kita cover. Right? So, question 1 kita dah jawab. Bolehlah kan tadi? What is this process called? Saya dah terbagi hint tadi tu. Met tadi tu, met. Metaplasia. Okay. So, this is an example of metaplasia. Yes. In this particular case, if you see the presence of this type of epithelial cells in the distal part of an esophagus, we call this as, do you know the name given to this type of condition? Something esophagus. Yes, Barrett's esophagus. Yes, excellent. So, Barrett esophagus. This is Barrett's esophagus, where the normal squamous type of epithelial cells is replaced by this columnar, metaplastic columnar type. Okay, right? So, define this process. Define this process, i.e. define metaplasia lah. Okay. What is metaplasia? Reversible. Okay, betul. Alia, betul. First things first, it is reversible. Okay. And then what happens?
When one adult or mature cell type is replaced
Okay,
with
agree.
another
So in which this is a reversible condition or process in which one adult epithelial type or mesenchymal pun boleh juga okay, but in this case epithelial, one adult epithelial or mesenchymal dalam exam letak type, okay, is replaced by another adult or mature type of epithelial. Macam tu. Mesenchymal. Okay, macam tu. Okay, tambah juga So, it is a reversible change. Let me repeat that again. It is a reversible change in which one adult cell type, epithelial or mesenchymal, is replaced by another adult cell type. Okay, got that? Kalau tak dapat, nanti kita tengok balik recording. Next question. Explain the pathogenesis involved in this process. Pathogenesis, Okay, bukannya etiology. Explain the pathogenesis involved in this process. Okay. What is the underlying issue that this patient might have? Okay, daripada dia punya history ni, chest pain, which is burning in nature, accompanied by regurgitation. 10 minutes dah, ya ampun. Okay, regurgitation and sour breath. Kan, and then ada JDS pula dah. Okay. So, saya baca laju-laju lah Kan nak kena erase satu lagi session, kesian pula korang. So, Barrett esophagus is a complication of long-standing GERD, G-E-R-D. I want you all to go back and Google GERD, G-E-R-D, gastroesophageal reflux. Okay, and it is an important risk factor for esophageal adenocarcinoma, Barrett's esophagus ni. So, a patient with Barrett's esophagus is at a higher risk of getting this carcinoma, esophageal adenocarcinoma. And what is the sequelae or sequela of this condition? So, if persistent, it may induce malignant transformation. So, as we have established, it is a risk factor for carcinoma. Yeah. So if persistent, if you do not do something about this, that patient might it may induce malignant transformation in metaplastic epithelium in this section here, the metaplastic section here. So give examples of similar disease process. Let me just give you a few examples. Squamous metaplasia, for example, in habitual cigarette smoker, it occurs in the respiratory tract in response to chronic irritation, in which the normal ciliated columnar epithelial cells of the trachea and bronchi are replaced focally or widely by stratified squamous epithelial cells. Okay, this is a form of adaptation in which it needs to, the body is trying to adapt, trying to protect itself. Okay, so if one adult cell, epithelial cell is unable to actually cope, then the body responds by actually changing the lining to another cell type which is able to better cope. Okay, kita nampak kan kalau squamous epithelium tu memang sangat mantap. Nampak the layers semua tu kan. Kalau the original ciliated columnar epithelium macam kurang kekuatan ya. So the body will try to replace with a much stronger epithelial type which is able to cope, okay, with the continuous cigarette smoking tadi tu. Okay. And then kita ada stones in the excretory ducts of the salivary glands, pancreas or bile ducts. Replacement of the normal secretory columnar epithelium by non-functioning stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, and then ni kita tadi kata ada connective tissue kan, mesenchyme kan. Mesenchyme example kita ada formation of cartilage bone or adipose tissue in tissues that normally do not contain these elements. For example, in myositis ossificans. I want you all to go back and Google. Tengok what is myositis ossificans. Okay, so that's case 7 sorted. Laju ni sorry Next kita ada banyak lagi 7 minit sebenarnya. Oh, penat saya baca laju-laju. Okay. Last case. Okay, we've got a 55-year-old woman who went for a routine Pap smear, Papa Nicolau smear. The diagnosis was a high-grade squamous intraepithelial lesion, HSIL. Subsequently, a cervical biopsy was taken. Okay, so and then ambil just a snip, cervical biopsy of the cervix. So photograph K is the histological picture of patient's cervical tissue stained with hematoxylin and eosin, H&E. Nampak Okay, this is the patient's. What's this? Okay, nanti kita cover. And photograph L is a histological picture of a normal cervix lah. Sekejap. I can put side by side. Tak boleh, tak Okay, tak apa. Use imaginoma lah Okay, in this normal one, kita nampak a nice order of things. Semua nampak cantik je. Kita ada this base kan. And then each cell makin ke atas, nampak makin mature. And then nampak flattening. In this case, in the cervix, kita tak ada our, apa nama tu? Keratin layer kan. So kita akan nampak terusan. Everything, the cells will become flattened as they mature. Now, this is a picture of a normal one, Okay, these are layers semua. Compare that with this. What is this? What's happening? Question 1. Observe and compare photographs K and L and describe the histological appearance of the patient's cervix. Ting, 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 ting. We immediately, upon seeing this, we immediately can establish that this is abnormal. Okay. Kenapa kita compare dengan ni? Ni comel kan, nampak kat organisation dia. Very nice picture. Compared to this one. Teng, teng, teng. Okay. Before we move on, what's this? Apa ni? Nampak tak ni? Ni. Teng. Ni. Apa tu agak-agak tu? Ni. Ayo, apa ni? Ni. What's that? What are those? Nampak abnormal kan? Okay. First things first, kita establish bila kita compare ni, kita nampak tak ada organisation at all. Betul tak? Loss of the architecture of the normal cervical epithelial. Okay. And then kita tengok okay. Kalau kita compare the colour, apa yang awak nampak? This one and this one. Compare the color of the nuclei. Okay. Okay, are they of the same size? Macam kalau kita tengok sini, lebih kurang sama. This layer, okay, lebih kurang sama. Quite homogeneous. And then this layer pun, okay, lebih kurang sama nampaknya. Ini pun lebih kurang sama, penyek-penyek semua. Okay, compare to this. Atas pun ada lagi yang masih lagi nampak macam base layer tu kan? So, there is loss of organization or architecture or the structure. And then we can see that the nuclei ni, they are of different shapes and sizes. And they exhibit this macam color yang lebih sangat nampak apa tu? Sangat lebih terang macam tu. We call this as color apa? Chrome color or light chrome. Hyperchromatism. Okay, kita nampak chrome. Lighting dia lagi wow. Macam tu kita tengok wow. Okay, hyperchromatism. Right? And then you can see. Ni lah dia ni. This yang saya pointed out tadi ni, in which I'm doing now, I'm pointing ni at this few cells ni. Ni adalah cells undergoing mitosis. Normally, mitosis is only found down here. They are not found here. Okay, so because the base layer are the cells actively undergoing mitosis. Nak produce, gantikan balik layer atas kan? Okay. But in this picture, it is found, kat sini pun ada. Oh my god. Sini pun ada, atas ni pun ada, atas ni pun ada. Okay, they are dividing. And this is abnormal. Right. So, okay, question 2. Question 2. Question 1 tadi. There is this whole process is called dysplasia. There is dysplasia involving more than 2/3 of the epithelium. What is the process called? It's called as, kat mana ni sekarang ni? Where is the sample taken? Cervix. So this is the case of cervical. What's the thing that you use? Okay. Or cervical intraepithelial neoplasia. Good. 3, CIN3. Or kita boleh kata juga cervical dysplasia. And what are the histological features? So we can see that there is no orderly differentiation of squamous cells. There is nuclear and cellular irregularity and hyperchromatism. And last, we can see that there are numerous mitosis extending towards the surface. Kan? Kita nampak kat situ. Yay! So that ends our sessions. Any question dalam masa 1 minit 25 saat ni yang berbaki? Punyalah laju macam kereta api kita buat hari ni sesi. Sabar je lah. Usually I have from 10:30 until 12:30 kan for a proper MES session which we can go tak apalah one by one, but in this case tak apalah. Beggars cannot afford to be choosers kan, so kita utilize what we have. Okay. Any questions? Saya.
Doktor, yang tadi
Myositis ossificans. Kejap saya boleh ni kan.
Yang doktor suruh kami cari.
Myositis ossificans. Yes. Myositis ossificans. Ya? Yeah? Cari tahu. So okay, I will process our recording and upload dekat dalam YouTube, and I will give Alia the link and then Alia can share with the rest of you, termasuklah yang tak dapat datang hari ni. I understand kadang-kadang kita ada limitations, but tak apalah. Okay, kita boleh go back and just go review balik what we have discussed. So thank you so much to all of you, especially Jim Teo tadi yang arranging the second session, much appreciated. Sebab tidak lagi lambat kita. And to the rest of you, terima kasih banyak-banyak. Now, just go through balik This is an important topic and usually will come out in the exams. Okay, take care korang. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.